Welcome back. The JL392XR has hit 5,000 miles and it's time for an oil change. I went to the dealership and the WAVE program is supposed to be applicable for the first 3 oil changes. Unfortunately, I'm not the original owner and they pulled that clause on me, which seems reasonable. So I have oil already in the shop, 040 weight, and I stopped by Advance Auto. They have both the 339 and a larger 899 Mopar SVT filter and paper towels, nitro gloves, and a 13mm wrench for a drain, and my drain catch can, and of course a nice poly pad to put your knees on. I perform an oil change. I do 3 things in addition to the standard procedure. Number 1, I use half a liter of fluid as a final flush after the drain. Number 2, I lubricate the new oil filter's threads as well as the gasket. And number 3, I park the car over a piece of cardboard overnight, fresh clean cardboard, and check for spottings in the morning. First thing to do is start out at 5,000 miles. I'm removing the catch can. It's right here, and I wanted to show it to you. I'm actually getting a bit of blow-by in there, probably an ounce, I'll say. So now's the time to take that and put it into your recycling container. Let's take a look at how ugly that is. Fairly ugly. Fairly ugly. Oh yeah, thick and ugly. Okay, that did exactly what it's supposed to. That's not going to gum up my intakes, my valves, anything like that. And we are disposing of it properly with that. So let's get on. First thing to do is drain the old oil, crack the cap here, and put it aside so dust doesn't get in, and possibly pull the dipstick up a little bit to allow air in, but not to allow much dust in. All right, using nitro gloves on your hands and getting yourself underneath the car. I like to come on the front of the oil pan so there doesn't splash any oil on you. Get your 13mm wrench on that and turn it counterclockwise to release it. And now placing your catch can under with a splash arc looking like it'll hit it on tightness. And notice this was just what, 8 or 9 foot-pounds it felt like, to not super heavily strong on there. Okay, let's see if we can do this while we have one-headed on the camera. This is going to be hot and up we are. Oops, that was a splash too much. Okay. Let that drain. As your oil drain trickles down into just a thin line, you're almost through. At this point, I like to add half a liter of your new fresh clean oil into it and let it drain an additional 20 minutes to half an hour. This ensures a total flush should you be changing oil types, and if there's any chance of getting the kind of small little chunks or any of the pushing something else out, this will do it. All right, the best way to access the filter is from the front underneath, and I like to spread a plastic garbage bag over this area, over the cross members, to access the filter. Where is it? There we go. It's right up here, and as you spin it, this one is just hand tight, which is a proper way. It will now drain out onto the plastic and into the recycle bucket, and not all over my cross members. Clean the plug and the fitting, reinstall a new gasket, and install into the car. All right, we see that the new 899C is ready to go. I've lubricated both the O-rings and the threads inside to help it. Now the old one, I see, I was anticipating a 339, but no, they're using an 899. So I picked up the identical one. I didn't use, I thought I was getting a beefier one for the SRT, but looks like Airport Dodge is doing that already. Wonderful. Let's install that now. Wipe the oil, one final wipe on the oil filter housing, and then I'll install it with 2 hands off camera. With the oil drain, the plug back in, and now the new filter in place and firmly hand tight, we're ready to start filling. All right, I've replaced the catch can. I lubricated the O-ring before I put it on, and I used this paper towel to wipe the underside to make sure both mating surfaces were clean. And that is a real nice reminder that after 5,000 miles, I'll pick up an ounce of nasty, dirty oil into the recycling that does not hit my valves. My valve seats are my guides, so my engine's going to be a lot cleaner from that. Now we're at the point of sealing up the bottom and adding oil to it. So I like to use the big funnel here that I can come along and just drop it in and position that correctly so I can just walk away and let every drop get into the engine at modern oil prices. Filling up the engine. Once you button everything up, drive the car for 10 to 20 minutes to circulate the oil, and then park it in the garage overnight. I like to place a clean piece of cardboard underneath and check for spotting in the morning. Tells you of it. But these new Jeeps plugs with the gaskets, the big neoprene gaskets, are really great. So you're finished. And remember, I do 3 things differently. Number 1, at the end of a drain, I flush with half a liter of fresh oil, pushing it all out down at a final drain. Number 2, I not only lubricate the new oil filter's gasket, but I also lubricate the rings for the threads on the inner spindle. And number 3, I also let it sit overnight and inspect for a clean sheet underneath with no drops. Thank you very much. That's how I do a 392XR oil change.